Today I'm going to go into the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. This should be exciting. It's a dreary, slow day that I just want to take a nap, and I'm getting excited because I'm at the Rocket City Space Camp. But we're not going to go to the Space Camp. That's its own entrance. This is up to the museum, the Space and Rocket Center. This is where I'm going. This is where we're going to park up here. This is what the drive-in looks like. Pretty easy parking here. Don't go to the space camp. See, there's space camp operations over there. Obviously, you don't want to go there unless you're going there. And this is over here is going to be the entrance, as you can easily tell by the archway that tells us that this is the entrance. Free parking, no problems, very accessible. Ooh, Smithsonian affiliate. That sounds important. Main entrance and straight into the gift shop. I love it. Right into the commerce. That's cool. And all the stuff. So here's the initial entrance into the museum. Got some cool pop culture artifacts. They've got a copy of the USS Enterprise blueprint. The blueprints that they sold us, and I had that packet of blueprints as a kid. That's the one thing I identified in here with pretty strongly. And even then, there's a Saturn V rocket. More recently, the Lego Saturn V rocket that my son had. He saw that, and that was pretty cool. It's like, hey, we both owned a couple of these artifacts from this exhibit here. So I'm standing on the selfie spot at the entrance here in the Dare to Explore room. Is this a good selfie? Okay. That's I recognize this one. It's the New Glenn rocket. I mean, I don't recognize the big cone thingy, but I recognize the name because that's what we saw launch over in Kennedy a few weeks ago when I recorded that from the top of the hotel rooftop bar. Yeah. So it's the walk through the Smithsonian Spark Lab. I happen to catch it when there's no kids in here right now. It looks like a lot of fun. I think I could probably spend some time in here. And the only caveat in here is if kids under 12 have to have an adult with them. But other than that, have some fun. Send them in here. If you get hungry while you're here, they got you covered. Galaxy, you know, that's not really overcharging that much, I don't think, for a place like this. You pay that much or more at Chipotle. So, I mean, Chipotle's probably better, but anyway. This is a simulator, kind of looks like fun. It's a $10 upcharge. I didn't pay it today more because I don't know that we have the time. We didn't get here till the afternoon, so we're kind of just walking through the rest of the museum, and I did not think that we might have time to do the extras. So it looks neat though. I'm gonna walk past the Hypership Simulator and out towards there's the grill, the diner over here, and outdoors to the shuttle. The shuttle park is this way, but also the main rocket park is out there. You can get out to there. You see a couple of more optional rides here. Something called MaxFlight there. It takes, you have to have 2 people to ride. It's $20 you have to have 2 people. So it's $20 total, but you have to have 2 people. Anyway, so the other thing, the VR Explorer is $12 a head to ride that. Science in Orbit, the Simson. Look at the Space Ops Station. This is kind of like a walkthrough of the ISS. They track the ISS from out here. You can talk and ask questions to somebody here, and they get some great info, and you take a look at what the ISS is doing, and then it walks you through a whole thing, a mock-up of the ISS. There's an underwater astronaut training tank here, which is currently not in use. As you can see, it's being painted. But the rest of this mock-up is really neat. They have little exhibits of how the astronauts prepare food and do other things while they're go to the bathroom and other kinds of neat stuff while they're in space. This was just a nice exhibit of the galley and how food is prepared. They got a cool video they show you. They got a video of the toilet, but thankfully they don't show how it works, personally. Here's an example of the treadmill, which I thought was kind of cool. I didn't know it was named after Stephen Colbert, which is kind of cute and clever. It was a contest, I guess. What you'll see is certain parts of this, as you walk through, you'll see that some of it's reserved, you can get the idea that you're sharing space and sharing training space with what the space camp cadets go through. So the whole ISS tour through here, the level of detailing in the exhibits is much greater detail than what you have at Kennedy Space Center. This isn't, and I think that's probably just because they have the space camp going on here and the cadets experience this. In fact, I think they're doing some things with the space camp cadets right now. I saw a group of them moving through a different section of the ISS exhibit. Yeah, you really get a pretty good idea coming out of the ISS exhibit. You get a good idea that you're in a kind of a co-located space with the space camp cadets and that program, because you walk across this area here, and this is not the public dining room where you go pay for food. This looks like a high school lunchroom is where the space camp folks eat. And then that lets us out into the space shuttle park out here. We got a full-size mock-up, but they're telling me this is the only flight configuration shuttle stack in existence, and the Pathfinder model there is they call a ground test article, so not a real shuttle, wouldn't have gone into space or anything, but you get an idea from the immensity of the size of what the whole thing looks like when it's all stacked together. I love the name. That's a clever energy depletion zone. This is a great view. I'm standing underneath the Saturn I, and then in the distance there's a Saturn V. Man, it's just so cool to be in the shadow of these monsters. It's awesome. Now the moonshot is closed today. Can I pretend that I'm disappointed? Because that looks frightening, perhaps fun, but mostly frightening to me. The sign says it's closed due to low temperatures, so I can guess that it's probably going to be closed for the next couple of months then. If it's now it's December, so if this is cold enough, then it'll probably be closed through the spring. Just a dreary, dreary December day, and I was ready for a nap before we got here, but here I am, and I can't help but being excited. Now I'm going to go into Saturn V Hall. I love this stuff. And just up these stairs to the Saturn V Center, around that corner and into that next building right there. Unfortunately today for us, the theater was closed. And just up the stairs to the Saturn V Hall. And this is a little bit reminiscent of Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. In fact, this is did a little bit of deja vu from just a couple of weeks ago when I was down in Florida. You enter at the base of the rocket, and you can tour stops. There's docents here. There's guys in lab coats. You can talk to an actual rocket scientist if you want. But you come in here, if you follow around the external wall, it takes you through a history of the program, highlighting really Werner von Braun. And each stop has this cool little QR code. You'll see a QR code for an audio tour. When I initially clicked on it, I thought, oh, they're going to make me download an app, or I got to do it. Each QR code is linked directly to a YouTube video for that particular exhibit. So it's really straightforward. You can just walk through here, read for a little bit, click on that QR code, and hear all about what that thing is or was.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
Lots of really cool interactive stuff in this facility. Doesn't have the same touristy edge as the one out at KSC, where they've got dining in the Saturn V facility. But here's just very interactive, very educational, lots of little things to walk through, and you can learn about the development of the Saturn V and the Apollo program. Yeah, it's really neat. Really, really neat. I always thought Airstream trailers were pretty cool, but I am not sure I would want to spend 3 entire weeks with 2 of my best pals in this. That is so neat. They were out by Christmas of '69. That's the key. At least they got to go home. So part of what I'm doing here today is trying to answer the question for myself, and I guess for any of you who would be curious, is the visit here worth it if you've been to the Kennedy Space Center's visitor complex? Is this a different enough place, if you happen to be in Huntsville, would you skip this or would you come to this anyway? This is different enough from what they offer at Kennedy Space Center. The history is the same, but what they exhibit here, the exhibits are slightly different. The activities are slightly different. I think it's worth going to both. Hey, that's going to do it for me in my afternoon at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center here in Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama. Does anybody call it Rocket City? If you're from Huntsville, let me know, please. I don't know. Anyway, we're out of here. It was great on a crappy, dreary day, but very exciting because I love this stuff. And I got to say, if you get a chance to do both Kennedy Space Center Complex and this, do both. You won't feel like you had a redundant experience or wasted your money, in my humble opinion. In fact, value for money, this place was $30 a head. There's no discounts for retirees or military or any of that kind of stuff. There's a slightly, was it cheaper for kids? It was cheaper for kids. I'll put the numbers up there, right? So I don't think you'll feel like you wasted your time. I don't think you feel like it'll be a redundant experience, but I think at $30 a head, this place feels like good value for money as compared to what you're paying for, you know, a bigger experience in Kennedy Space Center. But this is great. Come here if you get a chance. Hopefully it's a nicer day than today. I like Huntsville anyway. Great. See you next time. Thanks.